Good morning, class, and welcome to your virtual course. My name is Dr. Araypour, and here's Introduction to Statistics. I have sent you several emails already regarding the course. I hope you've had a chance to explore it. The way I've set it up is very simple. Here's the home page of the Canvas, and you see numbers. Number one, watch the welcome message. It's a short 1 or 2 minute message welcoming you to the course. I'm happy to have you here. Number two, class philosophy. So let's quickly look at that. Okay. Class philosophy. This class is, I'm going to have a hard time reading with my classes. It's a long story. Let me see if I can make this actually happen this way because
This class is a community and therefore, we all have the same objective, to learn. Online students often feel isolated, but it is vitally important to know you are not in this alone. I would like each of you to approach our online class with a great attitude and a willingness to help one another. Many problems and questions can be resolved by asking a fellow student. I am always here to help you, but I truly believe your experience will be more fruitful if you communicate with your fellow students as well. Let us work together to make this a memorable semester for each and every one of us. Course objectives. It is about the use of probability techniques, hypothesis testing, and predictive techniques to facilitate decision making. Topics include descriptive statistics, probability and sampling distributions, statistical inference, correlation and linear regression, analysis of variance, chi-square, and t-tests, and application of technology for statistical analysis including the interpretation of the relevance of the statistical findings. Applications using data from disciplines including business, social sciences, psychology, life science, health science, and education.
by the way, that was chi-square, not chi-square. And of course, my email address and the information, obviously, you can find it from here. It's very important when you send an email, please. Um, if you send it from Canvas, I know which course you're emailing me from. If not, make sure in the subject you have the subject line and, of course, uh, at the end, write down which course you belong to. In any event, going back to the home page of Canvas, the next one is the announcements. You can click on the announcements right here or on the left navigation bar. By the way, let me put that as a student. So on the left navigation bar, these are what you see. So it's slightly different than mine because your view is as a student. Having said that, under the announcements, so far, there've been a bunch of them that have been sent to you. Welcome to your virtual course, all the way to repeating the same thing 3 times. I sent it 3 times, and there was a recorded orientation right here, everybody, which we have an old one from last year, and the new one, I will put them here as soon as it becomes available. And part of that was that if you start the course and uh, my open math, your digital platform, you would have been excused from the orientation. So having said that, let's go back to the home page. So we went over number 1, 2, 3, and here's number 4. See, you just follow the numbers. Under number 4, we see a bunch of stuff. Let's just quickly look at what we have under number 4. Syllabus modules, which has the practice test, PowerPoints, homework, exams. Now, please pay attention right here. The very first one, everybody, is the Zoom meeting. Because there used to be a Zoom meeting on the left navigation bar, it's not available. They have had technical difficulties. So for this semester, I think it becomes available later. So that's why I put it in two places. One of them is here and one of them is under the modules I'll show you later. The second one, this is the office hours. Don't mix them up. Again, all class meetings with the Zoom meeting, office hours. Please don't mix them up. All right, so having said that, we start with the syllabus. Again, you can click on the syllabus here or on the left navigation bar. There are two of them, and I want to quickly show you both of them. We used to have just the syllabus. Now they have added simple syllabus as well. So let's look at the syllabus. There are two things you see here. One of them is the calendar. So I'm going to look at the calendar first and then the actual syllabus. The calendar. So basically it tells you what needs to be done and what you're concerned with. I would be concerned with is the homework, the exam. The exam is happening every week and I'm giving you on Saturdays. So you are relaxed, you can do a good job and ace your exam. So that's as far as the exam is concerned. The day before each exam, all your assignments are due. Just please do them on a daily basis. Just a couple of sections per day will do the job. That's all you have to do. In the meantime, there are a couple other assignments that are due immediately. One of them, for example, happens today. It's Introduction to My Open Math. Another one is Algebra Review, and I'll show you where to find them. Of course, every assignment, including the exams, each and every one of them is done in your digital platform known as My Open Math, and for short, I'm going to refer to it as MOM. So going back, so that's as far as the calendar. So every week we have an exam. And week number 5 is the final exam, which is comprehensive, but it's really not too bad because it's based on mainly previous exams, about 70%, and the other 30% new material. Having said that, here's the syllabus. So let's look at it. Again, welcoming you to the course. Now, as you know, nowadays the syllabi are getting larger and larger. They become humongous. And so in order to make it manageable, I put them under different topics. So for example, if you're interested in, let's say, dropping policy, you can go there instead of wasting your time reading the entire thing. Although I suggest you look at them after I go over that for a couple of minutes. So I'm going to take a few minutes and quickly go over the entire thing, starting with the course, of course, the section number, the time, and SLOs, student learning outcomes, course objectives. The text is, as well as the digital platform, is 100% free. You don't have to pay for anything. It's available online. If you want, you can download the PDF format. But it's more like a reference text because I've got everything ready for you, the PowerPoints, the recorded PowerPoints for the lectures, everything is available, and I'll show you where to find them. So having said that, this is the text. We use My Open Math, short MOM, for our digital platform where we do our assignments. And again, I will show you where to find them in a moment. Here's the class calendar as it was mentioned. Of course, we have the the information about the Zoom meeting here, as well as the homepage of Canvas, as well as the modules. As I mentioned, this year we have problem with that Zoom being on Canvas. Again, a short calendar is shown here that every week we have an exam. Now, a couple of things about the exam I want to make sure everybody understands. There is no proctorio, okay? I want to make sure everybody understands what my belief is. My belief is everybody is here to learn, okay? And I hope you realize that that is extremely important, that you pay attention to that and learn it because you need this at some point. There's a reason you're taking this course. So it is strongly advised to watch the recordings of practice test exams. They are already available and we will make new ones available as well. So anybody wants to go ahead, you're more than welcome to do that. There's plenty of resources available, including the practice test, because practice tests are the synopsis of each exam for success in this course. All exam reviews are recorded and can be found under the recorded practice test lectures tab in Canvas. I will be available during the designated class time and student office hours to address any questions. All exams expire at 11:59 p.m. On their due dates, you may take them anytime on that day, but it is recommended not to wait later than 8 or 9 p.m. Here's what happens. Beginning of the week, you receive an email that explains about the exam, including the password. And if any of you missed that, you can go to Canvas announcements and see that, okay? The information, including the password. So you don't have to wait until Saturday to take it. You can take it anytime. You have the entire week, but it's due at 11:59 p.m. on Saturday. Obviously, if you start at 11, you have only 59 minutes. For an exam, you may have 2 hours, so don't do that. That's the idea behind this. So having said that, then we have the meetings. We are meeting Monday through Thursday, 9 to 12:15. Um, as far as calculators are concerned, I believe everything should be free for the students, including calculators. So I'm giving you a list of calculators, and I highly recommend you take a couple of minutes and explore each and every one of them. They are different. Some of them may be better than the others. Based on my experience, the first one seems to be uh, probably the best one. But you check and see which one works for you. If you have a calculator, you're more than welcome to use it, a graphic calculator. Normally, TI is a good one. If you have an emulator, I do have an emulator, okay, here, like this one, and I will show you where I got it and a possibility of you getting it as well. But that's a possibility because sometimes it doesn't work. I'll show you in a moment. But aside from that, you have access to all of these online calculators for free, everybody. So you need to explore to see which one works the best for you. Tech support, we have it from the publisher, from the campus, from Canvas, all of them. PyShop or MATLAB also is one of the locations that you can get tutoring if need be. Grading policy. So this is a point system, total of 1,000 points, and 90% or 900 points and above is an A. So we have as follows. The online homework, 250 points. On a normal basis, students really have an easy time acing this. Getting 100% is really not that difficult. We have introduction to my open math that should be done immediately, 20 points. Algebra review, 30 points. Again, all of them I'll show you when we go to my open math. And then we have 4 exams. Each one is worth 100 points, as you can see. The final exam, which is comprehensive, and I can't emphasize this enough, it's really not that bad. Basically, a big chunk, about 70% comes from the previous 4 exams, roughly, and about 30% from the new stuff. So it's really not too bad. All you have to do is study the previous exams and a few brand new sections. Total is 1,000 points. It's a point system. So 900 and above is an A, 800 to 899 is a B, and so forth. So at any given time, you can see the number of points. Don't pay too much attention to what the Canvas mates may say. Sometimes they have grades there, A, B, C, D. It doesn't mean anything. Just look at the number of points that you have, and that grade is incorrect until every assignment has been inputted. Okay, the grade for every assignment. Otherwise, it's wrong. Just pay attention to the total points. Um, there is no makeup, and there's a reason for that. First of all, there's no makeup in general because there shouldn't be, but you haven't the entire week, so you don't have to take it on Saturday. Take it on Friday or Thursday or you name it. In any event, but if something comes up and you have proper paper acceptable by campus, then I will give you a makeup exam. Now, your worst exam grade will be replaced by the final under the following conditions. Number one, the final must be good. That means minimum 80%. Homework must be high, at least 90%. And more importantly, this action will result in a higher letter grade. If you fail to take an exam, you will receive 0 point for that exam and it will not be dropped or replaced. Okay? I can't emphasize this enough. Course late work. This is a very fast-paced course. You can't afford to use we do have what's called late pass. And you get a 10% penalty and you have 72 hours to, finish him. But I highly recommend you avoid that. It's there in case. Exception to that is the mandatory assignment, which is due as we speak in a moment, algebra review, and the last module number 5, because people are waiting for their grades and I can't wait for others to finish their work. There are other informations here. You can look at them. One important thing that I think students should be aware of is what is known as CSULB Study 36. So what it mentions is students need about 3 times the number of unit hours per work for a 16-week semester. For a regular semester, you have to, if you have 4 units, then you need 3 times 4, 12 hours to do well. This is a short semester, and it's a very fast pace, and you need minimum of 20 hours, minimum, to do well. Okay, it's over before you know it. So I can't emphasize this enough. Dropping points. Anybody missing the orientation that, of course, hasn't started with the digital platform. Those who do not register with the publisher immediately. Those who missed the first assignments. We got to go over them again and again today. Or if anybody missing any of the exams, they will be dropped. There are informations that may be helpful, such as information about OSS, financial aids, and so on. There are more helpful resources, and I highly recommend if they are helpful for you, please take a look at them. I put them here. Now, summary steps to success says, in order to be successful, number one, study the PowerPoints in each module. I have PowerPoints per section, and I have PowerPoints for practice tests. Do your homework before the deadline, okay? And of course, you can watch video lectures that I have, or they are embedded within some homework. Some homework do have video lectures. Study the practice test. Watch the recordings of all practice tests and take the exam by the due date. And again, office hours, please don't mix them up with the class session. There are 2 different Zoom meetings, okay? Again, more information. And as far as what they call netiquette for online learning. So I'm not going to go over that and, take time. I just want to be short and mention one thing. And that is, in whatever we do, we want to be a professional, okay? And we want to be courteous towards one another. So please pay attention to that. This is not an English course. It's a math course. Yet you are a college student. Please use correct spelling and grammar. Okay, don't assume you're texting or stuff like that. Write proper sentence, proper paragraph. And in short, positive tone, positive tone, positive tone always towards everybody, especially your fellow students. So that's the synopsis of the syllabus. And again, if you missed anything, if anything you think you want to revisit, please do so. As I mentioned, we also have the simple syllabus that I have here. And it's coming up. Okay. So it has the information about the course, summer 2026, stat C1000 and so forth, the section number. It has my information, it has course description, it has the Zoom meeting, course objectives. Again, the text, as I mentioned, you can find it here. Also, when we go to my Open Math, the digital platform, I'll show you. If, as much as I could fit a portion of the calendar from Excel, you can find it here, but it might be easier to find it under the syllabus here. Remember that. That is easier to see, I believe. It was this one. So let me see if I can. Okay, it's hard to. Okay, this was the one. Okay, just so you know. As you go down, the grading policy is here. So it's this basically the same thing, but the one that I put here, I think it's a little bit easier to read. That's why I didn't get rid of this, tab. They just want this simple syllabus. I kept this one because I think it's a tad easier for these students. So having said that, let's go back to the homepage. So just to remind everybody what we are doing, we are just reading number one, number two, number three, number four starts with syllabus. Then we have the modules, and under the modules, basically you find everything. And if you click on the modules here or the modules here, you can find them. But before we go to modules, I want to look at the discussion and I want to show you what you have. By the way, you can see your grades when they become available and so on. The library is here. Net tutor, that's another thing that I believe in some cases is available 24 hours a day. So your assignments, you see the tabs here. What I want to look at is the discussions and what we find there. Student bios. I put mine as an example, and some students have. I highly recommend you read your fellow students' bios. And please, 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 if you want to answer, always be encouraging to your fellow students. Be nice to them. Be positive. If you have something that you can, share, might be important for them, please do so with respect. So that's the student bios. And again, I put mine as an example. Frequently asked questions. Before you ask any question, take a couple of minutes to read this. For example, how to use a math editor, course ID. Generally speaking, there is really no course ID for Canvas, except in this case, we do have it when we want to set up the digital platform because there has been an issue. Okay, so over here it says, yes, there is a need for course ID in Canvas. Click on the module tab, okay, and click on my Open Math module, okay. And there are others, tech support, and so forth. Another question that comes up a lot is this, and it's very surprising because this has been explained a couple of times. Sometimes students email me right before the exam. Where do I find the exam passport? That means they didn't pay, they either didn't show up to the orientation or they didn't bother to watch this. Uh, under the announcements, okay? When it becomes available, under the announcements, okay? So announcements with the exam title are emailed to students and have all the information, including the exam password. That's it. Going back to the home page, the only thing left is the modules. So I want to show you what you can find under the modules. So under the modules, I'm going to quickly go tell you what you can find, and then we're going to discuss that. So the very first thing you find is the class Zoom link. Again, this is because we have a problem with the Zoom in Canvas. Over here, normally on this left navigation bar, everybody, right here, we would have a Zoom information. We don't have it. That's why I put it here. Or you can go to the syllabus, or you can go to the homepage of Canvas. Doesn't matter. I put them in 3 different locations to make sure nobody misses that. So having said that, that's the first one. The next one is but my open math. I'll come back to that in a moment. The next one is about PowerPoints, lectures, practice test. And look at this one. This is your module one, and everything that you need is here. Again, I'm going to go over each and every one of them with more details. I just want to show you what is under the modules. When we cover this, pretty much the next one repeats. Number two is similar to number one. It's for the next week, for the second week. Number three, again, is similar for the following week. And the number four and number five, this is part of the file. And at the end, I have added some um, resources. So what I want to do, I want to go back to the top, start with the very first one, show you this is, wow, actually, I shouldn't do that. Because then, okay, yeah, so no, I shouldn't do that because it takes me out of this one. Okay. But generally speaking, right here takes you to the class. The next one, and you need to pay attention to this if you're not registered with MOM already. You're going to visit this website, myopenmath.com. Then you copy, you're going to register, if you have an account, so be it. If not, you create an account. And then when you sign up, it'll ask you for the course ID. By the way, when you sign up, like any other signing up, you have to put your information, email address. You probably want to use the same username password that you use for your Canvas at um, this college. It's your choice. So you have the core, you put the course ID, you put the enrollment key, and you start. That's as far as my open math is concerned. This one, if you click on him, here's what you find. You find the upcoming practice test. I'm going to put it here, but under this one, 2025, these are the practice tests we have already covered, everybody, from module one, which has three parts, module two, which has a couple of parts, module three, so on and so forth. In other words, if you want to move on, and I've had students who've done that, you can go ahead. We have the practice test. What is this one? Lecture section by section, starting with 1.1. I show you where to find the PowerPoints, and here's the recorded lectures on those. Again, anybody wants to move on ahead of time. The point is a lot of resources are available. So going back to the modules, as I mentioned, this is where you come to the class. If you, I mean, you can go from the homepage of Canvas. This is where you find the information for your digital platform, My Open Math Short MOM. This is where you find all the previous recordings and the new recordings as they become available. We are concerned with this one, and I'm going to cover that in a moment because first I want to go to the very last one, that would be the resources. What do we find here? Formulas. It starts with the formulas. And these are the formulas that I put together from the get-go, from the very beginning, all the way to the end. Okay. So all the homework and all the chapters and their um formulas are here. Because the formulas are a little bit involved when it comes to statistics, you can use the formula sheet, everybody. Tables. You can use a calculator for that also, especially in the olden days. There were tables, and in some cases, really tables are important at least to know how to use it. I have explained that in my lectures and practice test, and I'm going to explain them again. We have the Z table, the T table, chi-square, and so on and so forth. So all the tables are here. So you can use both formula sheets and tables, but they don't do math. You have to know how to use it. What is this one? This is interesting. I want you to pay attention to that one. This is the information about TI calculator and how you use that. But also I have information here. There is a possibility that go to the given website and download an emulator. And if it works, it'll look something like this, everybody. Okay. So you can get that if you can make this work. And I say if you can make this work, this is not, it's got nothing to do with me. I found it. And sometimes in some laptops, I could make it work. In some cases, I couldn't, to be honest with you, but it is available. Then you look, we have all the commands that you need. Every piece of command is here that you need for your statistics. And at the end, I've added more calculators, online calculators. Okay. So I hope you explore that. Again, you don't have to pay for your calculator. So again, the first one is the classroom link. The second one, information about your digital platform. The third one, all the recordings of practice tests, lectures, and the last one, resources such as formulas, tables, uh, calculator commands. What is left? I want to start with now week one module. This is where you find a lot of information as well. What I put in first, okay, let me just actually close this. Okay, so what you can find, the very first thing is a practice test that covers the first 3 chapters. Okay, so what do we find here? What you will learn in the first module. This is the synopsis of that, and I highly recommend you take a few minutes just to read all this. Doesn't take long, trust me. It's mostly the definition, and this is the one that we are going to have the key as well as the PowerPoint recording of the solution with details, okay? But I highly recommend you do a few per day. And with me, when I go through the, recordings, make sure you're comfortable with that. You will nail the exam. So that's the first thing. So why do I start with the practice test? Because I want you to see what is coming up, what is expected of you. Then we have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. These are the PowerPoints, lecture PowerPoints, as you see 1.1 here. And I hope, was it here? There was somewhere, I think had to get rid of it. So over here, we have the PowerPoints per section. And as you recall, we have the recording of that also. So this is for chapter 1. This is the first section. And by the way, if you download it and you put it in slide mode, when you get to a question, for example, it doesn't give you the answer. It gives you the question, then it pauses and it lets you think about the answer, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, the second one repeats for chapter 2. The third one repeats for chapter 3. We have the PowerPoints. What is the last one? Right here. is this solution. So what did we have here? Over here, we had the practice test, sample test, exam review, depends what you want to call it. Then we had the PowerPoints, and now we have the solution to the practice test step by step. Please don't look at the solution unless you try it on your own. And as it was mentioned before, right here, we have the recorded solution to the practice test. So under the modules, you find the PowerPoints, the sample test, PowerPoints, solution to that, and now recorded solution to that. Every uh, resource that anybody needs to be successful is here. That's why I have a lot of students that sometimes they just move on faster for some reason. They want to, get ahead or even finish the course faster. So that is a possibility. Okay, so under the modules, you find the Zoom meeting, information about my open math, recordings, and you start with week 1. At the end of this module, there are some resources. So what about my open math? As I mentioned, you have to register with my open math. So what happens when you register with my open math? You start your digital platform. So what do you see there? Number 1, at the very top, it's the introductory assignment to my open math. What is it? It teaches you how to deal uh, with my open math, how to get started with my open math. The next one is algebra review. The purpose of that is to tell you and to show you what is your prior knowledge of mathematics so you can move on. You have to have certain amount of information. The next one is exams. I put the exam sort of at top because I didn't want anybody to miss that. See, I can, expand it. But for now, forget it. The first exam is coming up soon. So, and it gives you the information and so forth. But then we have the course description. You can find it in your syllabus, or it explains here. This course provides an overview of statistics, reasoning, so on and so forth. Then there's our information what these symbols mean. Look at the calendar. So as you can see, I have it set up for 4. You can change the number of weeks, for example, 2 here, let's say. And there are a couple of assignments that are red. They are due immediately, and then all the homework before the first exam. Again, please understand, look at the homework. Should I do all my homework here? Absolutely not. All you have to do 2 sections per day. You come to the end of the week, you're practically done. And if I were you, I would make sure Friday and Saturday are my time to study my practice test and nail the exam. Okay, this is what I would do. If you wait until then, you will not have time to get ready for the exam. So having said that, those are the beginning of the digital platform. Then what happens? Modules 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are here, but before that, we have another module. What is that? Module 0. As the name indicates, resources. In other words, I'm going to go over that. You don't need it, forget it. Okay. So here's module 0, starting with the information about the textbook. So if you click on that, the textbook comes up. Okay. You can download a PDF file. You can view it online. Okay. Okay. And you can navigate it here on the left navigation bar. As you can see, you can easily navigate. Also, it is based on this book, but I highly recommend you stick with the online version. It's easier to navigate. The difference is this has the proper sections, okay? But as I mentioned, this is more like a reference book. So we have the book here based on what I mentioned. Late pass is explained here, calendar is explained here, past one attempted, your grade is explained here. If something is expired, for example, your exam or homework, and you want to review that, all you have to do, go to your grades in MOM, My Open Math, click on that, and it comes up and you can check it out. So having said that, as we move on, what do we see? Instructor resources such as tables, PDF formula sheets, PowerPoint formula sheets, formula tables, multimedia library. What else? You can also see a bunch of free online calculators. Most of them you can find it on the syllabus as well. So free online calculators. As I mentioned, I believe everything should be free. Please check each and every one of them, see which one works the best for you. And instructor resources are here. More videos are here. P-value calculators, those of you who know it, so be it. Those of you who don't, when we get to it, it makes sense to you. It's a type of calculator that will help find p-values. And there are some videos here for one of those calculators, Desmus, okay? And even more calculators. So I want to again go back to the top and mention, and I can't emphasize this enough, please take a minute to go over module zero. Module zero is just a bunch of resources. That's all. But your course starts with module one. And what do we find under module one? Let me just first show you this. So you find three chapters. So you start with the first one, chapter one. You start with the very first section, 1.1. And it says, first watch these videos. I have my videos, and these are some videos provided by the digital platform. I highly recommend you watch those. And by the way, report any broken link. In the past, what students have done, they have watched these recordings and mine, and sometimes they like this one better or the other, or they would have watched both of them. So you decide what works for you. So these are provided by the digital platform. Those are mine. These are by others. Again, pay attention. Do you have to watch all of it? No, I would recommend maybe for the first section you watch and decide which set works best for you. After you watch that, you can start the homework. Okay. So if you start the homework, here's what I want to mention. You're looking at this question. Even if you don't know the answer, notice it says video one, video two. Most of them do have video help. Some of them don't. That's the idea behind the homework. Okay. And as soon as you submit a question, it gets registered, everybody. Okay. But what I want to show you right here with the very first assignment, introductory assignment to my Open Math. Okay. So if I click on that, entering what I want to show you is this. Okay, so it says enter the number. Okay, and the moment I click on the box, this shows up, and if need be, I can use this math palette. So this is 12.9863. So I put it in. Then we want to round it to the nearest hundreds. 12.99. Okay, because next to it is, notice this is number 6, everybody. Okay, so it goes up. Can I divide by 0? No. So if you click on it, it says DNE does not exist. Notice I answered those. The moment I click on submit, you see the check mark? I just got my grade and it's registered. So even if I never come back to this, at least for the one that I've answered, I got my point. Okay, so I hope everybody's clear. What happens if we answer something wrong? Let's answer this wrong. 1/3, let's say 0.3, which is wrong. Why is it wrong? because 1/3 is 0.3 bar and it's 0.3 and it continues indefinitely. And it says enter, take a look, 4 or more. So I'm going to put 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put many. That's fine. Okay, and submit. And now it's correct. So in other words, I got a similar question. It happened to give me a similar question. If you get a similar question, let me again just make this wrong, just so you see 0.3 submit. If you make a mistake, just get a similar question. It happened to give you the same thing, then you put the correct answer. And that's the beauty of this, platform. Get a similar question. So you're done or you're not. If you're not, just continue finishing off. If something comes up, you can't continue, click on done. So what happens? Notice the first two check mark, I got my points. I have a choice of resuming or exiting. So you can resume before the due date. So I'm going to exit for now. And that's it. So the synopsis of what we covered is as follows. Here's the homepage of Canvas. Following the numbers, number 1 is welcoming you. Number 2 is the class philosophy. Number 3 is about the announcements. If you miss anything, check it out. Number 4, we covered the syllabus. There are two, the one that I have here and the simple syllabus. The one I have has both the Excel calendar and the syllabus. We have the discussion forum. Under the discussion forum, we have two things. We have student bios and frequently asked questions. And then under the modules, pretty much we can find everything. But before that, the very first Zoom meeting is the class meeting, and the second one is the office hours. Under the modules, we can find again the Zoom meeting, information about the mom, the user, the course ID, and so on, recording, lectures, and practice test. And you start with module 1, which has the practice test, PowerPoints, and the solution to the practice test. What is the very last one? Just a bunch of resources. Finally, when you register with my Open Math, at the very top, you start with my Open Math, introduction to my Open Math, then to algebra review. Ignore the exams for now. Here's the calendar. Module 0 consists of a lot of resources you're going to look at, and then your course starts with Module 1, Chapter 1, Section 1.1, as it was mentioned. So we just leave the student view, and I hope everybody's okay with that, and I wish everybody best of luck and happy studying, everybody.